Hi friends! NATASHA DENONA's retro palette finally arrived, and in this video we'll cover the swatches, the palette details, some looks. But first, if it's your first time here, hi! I'm Alicia, thank you so much for clicking on my video. And if you are returning, well, thank you for visiting me again. Kinky Sweat stands for my kinky hair and sweat life. I'm a fitness professional who loves things, all movement and beauty. If you want to check out what I do in between the makeups, you can head over to my Instagram. I already have a video going over retro without actually having the actual palette. If you want to take a look, I'll have the card up above and the video link down below in the DB. Today, I wanted to go over looks, and this will still be a first impressions, even though I dived into it last night because I was waiting for this palette all day yesterday, okay? And retro arrived 8 p.m. on the dot. There was no light, but I did use my artificial light to capture some quick looks that I wanted to do in addition to the ones I'll have in this video, because there are so many shades in here that I just thought so beautiful to wear on their own, to be more taupey and then more burgundy. So we'll get into those on the B-roll when speaking about the colors individually. I already dove my grubby little fingers into this palette, so here is a snapshot of it clean and fresh out the box. And I did say in my original video that I was highly anticipating this palette, same way I did bronze. I was very excited for this color story. And again, in my original video going over retro's inspiration, it is from Retro Mini, and people had their thoughts about it. They had anticipated that the midi retro will be more based on the green taupes, or very much overall the entire color story presented here, much kind of like what Zendo did. Here is midi Zendo. You have the softer shades here, but you got a little bit of warm, a little bit of cool, a little bit of neutral. And then when NATASHA released the midi Zendo, there's just a broader range of offerings here, all the way from warm peach to the cooler blue greens. And then when we saw midi retro, we were like, oh, interesting that she went from this color story here to retro. And NATASHA had explained that this is basically an expansion of the more mauve tones found in mini, and she had wanted therefore midi retro to be the burgundy mauve sister to her midi glam palette, which I could understand why she might not have included more grayish tones in here, because they kind of already exist in glam. So if she wanted them to be complementary, I could understand why she did not put the grayer tones in retro. But I have to say, and I get what people are saying, that they wish she would have went more with the green taupes here. NATASHA did say that she is not done with the retro concept. She hears you, okay? She reads those comments like we all do. All right, so we might get a green taupe midi. We don't know when, who knows what size it will be. Hopefully it will be a midi, because these come at a fantastic price point, and we'll go over those details now. This palette retails for $65, a great price point for NATASHA DENONA, considering that her bigger palettes with 15 shades, here is the Lila palette, usually retail for $129. It comes in the hard plastic case with a mirror inside. You have the magnetic pan frame indicated by the pinholes on the back, so you could pop these out and arrange same size pans from other midis as you like. We have a 24-month suggested expiration shelf life, and this palette is made in Italy. Also says here paraben free, not tested on animals, but this is not vegan, as there is carmine in a few of the colors. Now, what's exciting about retro is that this is the midi thus far that has the most cream to powder formula shadows in here. We're looking at a total of 5, because Zendo had 4, Glam has 0, Bronze 2, Love 2. The only other, well, I say midi because I don't think it's actually midi, but I consider it to be in this category, Metropolis. This launched back in September 2019, and this has a total of 10 cream to powder formula shadows. And actually in NATASHA's masterclass during Sephora, that event that was held during that time, because okay, a lot of things were happening, she had said that this was a newer cream to powder formula. So I'm not entirely sure that all cream to powder formulas thus after Metropolis are the same, because the first cream to powder shadows debuted in the 2017 holiday limited edition Joya and Aries palette. So I think there was a change in Metropolis, and perhaps that change follow through after in palettes thereafter. This houses 28 shades total because at the time Metropolis was celebrating the 5-year anniversary of Natasha's original Big Mama 28 pan palettes, which she is mostly known for. These I think originally dropped in 2017, and of course when Nikki Tutorial showed this on her channel, everyone was like, oh my god, Natasha wasn't ready for that type of attention, but everyone bought these including myself. And what was standout about these shadows at the time was that Natasha wanted to introduce a formula that was high payoff pigment, high in crushed pearls, had a high moisture content as well, so that the shadows would just glide on the skin, look skin-like in finish, and be easy to blend despite the impact. So they were very easy to use. Thereafter, she introduced smaller palettes, the minis, the midis, sizes that were more consumer friendly, perhaps not so much geared toward the professional part of the spectrum. So there's a little bit of everything in NATASHA DENONA, in the NATASHA DENONA brand. And with retro, I think this represents just a great opportunity to introduce color in your life, but just so subdued and special. Like, I cannot wait. And I don't know the exact date, but September is Natasha's anniversary for her original 28 pan palette. So September is NATASHA DENONA month. With all that NATASHA DENONA history out the way, let's get into these swatches, shall we? Glitz is a duochrome baby pink with a champagne shift. Andy is a cream to powder taupe lilac. Jude, a metallic taupe, warm taupe to be exact. Maud is an off-white with a pink undertone matte. Vivian is a matte light to pink nude cream powder. Groove, a matte medium dark warm maroon. Opart, a matte cream to powder dark taupe. Psychedelic is a warm baby pink with multi-color sparks. This is the chroma crystal formula that could serve as a topper. Go-Go is a matte cream to powder medium warm warm rose. Sorry to get that out. Patty is a metallic medium nude rose copper. Swing, a metallic medium dark cool maroon. Nude mauve is a repeat from Lila. It is a mauve matte medium light neutral nude. Rebellion is a matte cream to powder medium burgundy. Helio, also a repeat from Lila, is a metallic taupe nude. And Amara, I'll put up here, also a repeat from Lila, a matte medium cool vintage rosewood. So here are all the shades from retro. Definitely cool neutral. I think initially when people saw the shades, they were anticipating warm berry, maybe what we got from Cranberry, the 5-pan palette. But this is definitely cool neutral. Even with the inclusion of the more neutral rose tones in here, they still lean a little cool, which is what I discovered last night when I dipped into it for the first time. Now with those swatches out the way, why don't you come in a little closer? Doesn't up. All right, let's priming these eyelids, getting ready for look number 1. Before we get into the first round, I wanted to briefly cover the looks I did last night. The first look I went in with Vivian, which is the matte cream to powder light pink nude all over the lid. Placed Maud, the off-white with pink undertone, on the inner corner. But then I took Groove on the lash line, and I wanted to do a distinct wing with this shade with a lighter lid because I just think burgundy wings are absolutely gorgeous. Not only did I place the wing on the top lash line, but I also placed a little bit on the lower lash line to connect it so it could be a little more, you know, aesthetique. And Groove has such a beautiful tone to it that I just love this combination. And then on the other side, I had to go in with Opart. Opart is the matte cream to powder dark taupe. I was dying to see this shade all over the lid, standalone. And it blew me away in terms of, again, the hue of it. It's smoky, but the taupeness, I think, makes it very daily friendly. So you could put this all over your lid like I did, or place it on the outer lash line. And then I placed Jude, the metallic warm taupe, over Opart to give it a little more sparkle. And I think I went in either with Glitz or Psychedelic on the inner corner, beautiful shine. Those sparkles show beautifully under light. And I absolutely love the fact that despite the inclusion of maroons and burgundies in here, if you wanted to go all the way taupe, you could with Eau Part and Jude. Even if you introduce some of the more burgundy tone shades in here, it will still look cool in nature. And with the next round, I think I started with Andy. Andy is a taupe lilac that I placed in the crease, cream to powder formula. It has such like, you know, it reminds me of Veloria from Divine Rose 1, just like that lilac lavender hue, beautiful on the crease. And then I followed with Rebellion, the matte cream to powder medium burgundy. And I did build the shade up because it is cream to powder, and again, the whole point with having cream to powder formulas, or why Natasha felt compelled to create such a texture, is very easy to blend, is skin-like in finish, it moves like a cream but sets like a powder. So with hardier shades like Rebellion, like deeper shades for instance that exist in Metropolis, the teals and the forest greens, the texture is not as intimidating as the shade itself, and that allows the user, especially if they are a beginner, to dive into these shades that they'll normally maybe be intimidated by but feel confident when blending them. I use Rebellion on the inner and outer corner, and then I place Patty. Patty, even though it's labeled as a metallic, excuse me, I would consider this more a satin shade. It doesn't have the same sparkle as Jude or even Helio, therefore softer in finish. It has a beautiful rose copper tone to it for sure, but then after I applied Patty on the center of my lid, I went in with Psychedelic, which is the Chroma Crystal shade that has beautiful multicolor sparkles. If you wanted to punch up Patty in terms of the dazzling effect, then just a fingertip application will do. I also placed Rebellion on the lower lash line 3/4 in. I forgot what I put on the inner lower lash line and corner, but because I was in front of artificial light, it took away some of Rebellion's hue, because when I saw myself in the bathroom mirror, it looked a lot richer. And I think so it would in person if you saw me face to face versus how I appear here on camera. Oh my gosh, the tone of Rebellion when you build it up and make it really smoky is absolutely gorgeous. And the last eye I did, I think I went in with Swing, and Swing is the metallic medium dark cool maroon. Oh my heavens. This has a little more shine than Patty. I don't think still as much as Jude and Helio, but the tone is outrageous. It's more like a cooler plum shade. It says maroon here, but I would consider this more plummy maroon, you know? And because of the texture is so smooth, this has a very high pearl content. You can buff the edges without having to rely on a matte shade, and they look blurred and diffused. But I think I did follow with Go-Go perhaps. I blended the edges with Go-Go, one of those shades, and the gradient just looked gorgeous. And Swing on its own, as you see here, again lends that nice smokiness that Eau Part does. But if you want a little more color than what Eau Part has to offer, which is the taupier shade, and you wanted to lean it more maroon plum, you can go in with Swing. It looks a lot more richer in person. I feel the light took a lot of the hue away, the saturation, because man, the eye looks, oh my gosh, these tones. And now I want to create other looks. I just have so many ideas. I think I want to start with, I don't know. I haven't gone in with Helio yet on the lid. Again, this is a repeat shade from Lila. I guess people felt a certain way about that, you know, with the repeat shades, but Lila is discontinued. Many had asked in the comments in my previous video. Even though it is still currently available on NATASHADENONA.com, after that run, I don't think she's going to have it anymore. So that said, Helio on its own has great shine. My apologies for the constant light changes. I'm gonna put my artificial light on when this happens. Very soft, but again, smooth to blend. If I wanted, I could apply this on my entire lid and be done. But I think I want to go in with Rebellion. This is the cream to powder formula, and I am using my Sonergy Lotus Worker. I do think Psycho Goat Hair is a great blend to use these cream to powder textures with, as Sokoho Goat Hair has amazing pickup. And I think the way to go about it, especially with these deeper shades, is to pack them on first and then blend the edges. I think that will keep the actual depth of color intact, so you don't have to blend it away when it's on the lid. Very easy to apply here. The color looks outrageously beautiful. I mean, these burgundies. I knew I was gonna fall in love. I just immediately knew when I saw this color story. Sign me up. Now, what to use to blend out Rebellion with? You know what? I think I want to go in with Go-Go. Go-Go is another cream to powder. This is the medium warm rose. Placing that right on the edges. And this is with my Refer 27 brush. Making sure that I'm not overlapping too much with Rebellion, because Go-Go will cover Rebellion. It will kind of change the color. So just make sure if you are combining these shades that you're careful with their placement. If anything, I can go back in with Rebellion and just pack on a little more color, but that I love. And Go-Go is such a pretty shade. It's not super warm, it's truly neutral, which Natasha had said she wanted to accomplish with Retro. Rebellion now on the outer third of the lower lash line. Taking my Refer 12 brush. This is a smaller domed brush that will pick up more product than the Worker because it is smaller. So I want a little more here on the outer corner. I'm also just carving out the crease line better. All right, what should we put on the inner part of the lower lash line? I'm thinking we could do psychedelic, we could do patty, but I think I'll do psychedelic. This is with my La Fuga del Gato brush. Believe this is, I don't know the number, but it's the pencil brush. Placing that on the inner lower lash line. This is the Chroma Crystal formula that's meant to be used as a topper, but I think shiny enough to be standalone as well. And very easy to pick up with both finger and brush. Let's go in with Mod. Mod is the matte off-white. This is the creamy matte formula. As I do like to go in with a light matte color for inner corner highlight. I think it's a great change of pace. And also a little bit here on the brow arch. Not a whole ton, because we got Go-Go there. So I don't want to overwhelm, you know, that shade. Oh yes, that's pretty. Side number 2. Well, I think I want, you know what? I think I want to go in with Opart again, because that shade just, I really love it. Using my Chikuhoro Z Series blender brush, going in with Nude Mauve, another repeat shade from Lila, and Natasha had said that both, or all three, Nude Mauve, Amara, and Helio are in her top favorites. We don't officially know what her top favorite list is, but they're in there. This is a gray squirrel brush, so it's a very light application of color, and I think a great way to go if you don't want so much color on the crease, if you want more of a wash. Otherwise, I will use a goat hair brush. Now with Opart, and again with my Lotus Worker. I was gonna say builder, excuse me. I'm placing that on the outer part of my lid and then zhuzhing it through the crease here so it could flow into Nude Mauve. Oop, wrong color. Got a little fallout from Opart. It could have been from Nude Mauve too. I don't even know at this point. I'm gonna do a little of that and just carefully feather that application to act as my eraser, because it happens. There we go. Now we got nice and pointy. Now with Patty on the majority of the lid, so covering the rest of the lid with the more rose tone, which I think really nice to pair with the taupier tone from Opart. It still works because Patty, although comparatively warmer than Opart, is still not warm, it's still neutral, so I think this combination can work. And I'm toggling back and forth between Opart and Patty to make sure the gradient appears smooth. And now for the bottom lash line. Oh my gosh, I think I'm just gonna stick with Opart. I'm going back in with my Refer number 12 brush and placing that on the outer third of the eye. It went a little too low, but it's all good. I could always go back and clean that up if I wanted to. And again, I'm taking my concealer brush with leftover product to buff the edges of that application. Now definitely going in with Jude. Again with the La Fuga brush on the inner lower lash line. And now with Glitz, the Cool Baby Pink with the inner corner here, same brush. Okay. All right, let's slap on some lashes and I'll be right back. Eyes are complete. I applied the chandelier lashes in style Amore. I also applied Natasha's newer burgundy liner, the Microtech Eye Crayon, in, I believe, the color burgundy. Yes. On the outer part of this eye, just to give Rebellion a little more. And on the lips, the I Need a Nude liner in Naya, followed by her I Need a Nude lipstick in Amorosa. And here's a close-up of the eyes. All these lids. And here's a wider shot of both looks. Love that we went a little more burgundy on one, a little more taupier and rose on the other, just to show the breadth of hues you can still grab from one palette that's monochromatic in nature. And although the mini palette had the shade 60s, which Natasha had said the color story was inspired by in terms of the time period, I still think these hues have a retro feel anyway. Like roses, taupes, and mauves automatically, I think, have like an older world feel about them that you just can't go wrong. You can't go wrong with. And with Amorosa, forget it. Let's take this off, dive into another round, and I'll be right back. Let's go in with Vivian next. Vivian is a, what is he here? I have the notes. Matte light pink nude, cream to matte. It definitely has more of a sheen. You know what? That was a wrong move. I think this will be better as an inner corner highlight moment. It is very light. So you know what? Hold on. I'm going to do a little wipey wipe. I'm going to reapply some primer. I'm going to let that set because I'll run into trouble if I try to apply any shadow now as it sets. Let's do Andy. Andy is the lilac shade, which I think to be more of an appropriate crease color for myself. The tone of it, let me move my mic, hold on. The lilac shade is not too cool, is more on the neutral side. I think really nice to have in here. Now with Groove, which is the true matte burgundy shade, I'm tapping that on the outer part of the V. Actually, the way Natasha likes to apply her shadow is to go in with the darker color first, tap that on, and then feather the edges with a lighter medium shade. And that's basically how she starts to build her looks. I think that's actually rather clever because sometimes with these shades, even the cream to powder formulas on the lighter side have impact. And if they overlap the darker color that's already there, and if you put a darker color on top, it could change the hue. So, but this seems to be fine. And Groove, ooh, the hardiness of Groove. Compared to Rebellion, Rebellion has a little more plum red in there. I think it's more of a true burgundy shade. I believe Rebellion is more burgundy and Groove here is more maroon. But paired with Andy, you get a little like more coolness from it. I love it. Now with Swing on the rest of the lid. This is the metallic shade, and last night I applied it all over the lid without another matte on the outer corner, and this definitely is going to smoke it up very quickly when combined with Groove. Now with Vivian, let's do Vivian on the inner corner for our highlight shade. I think that's very pretty. Again, really like to have a light matte as the inner corner highlight. Taking Groove on the outer lower lash line here. Helio this time on the inner lower lash line. This is a great shade to apply either here or the lid for some pop. And Psychedelic over Helio. If you wanted more sparkle, you could definitely take that step. And a little bit of Andy to feather the edges of Groove here on the bottom. Not a whole lot. I'm using very light pressure because I don't want it to get out of hand in regards to the blend. Now for this eye, we have not gone in with Amada yet as like a standalone crease shade. I'm looking at all the others here. We did Go-Go, we did Andy Nude Mauve. Let's just start off with Amada. Amada, again, repeat shade from Lila. This leans a little more red plum, and I don't think I need another shade to buff the edges. This will probably be the only crease shade I use. And actually, you know what? This is what I want to do. I think I want to take Mod Now as the majority of the lid color here. I think pairing this off-white pink undertone matte with Amara, because what I want to do is use the burgundy pencil and create like a wing overlapping Amara. I think that'll be a really nice combination. A little bit of Mod here on the brow bone. Yes. Going in with burgundy now. Going to get on this lash line. Now that we sketched out the wing somewhat, it's a very rough sketch. I'm going back in with my Refer number 3, in with Rebellion quickly, because I actually don't know how fast this sets. I'm not keen on the details of her liner. Actually, I'm going in with both Rebellion and Groove. I think I need a little more from Groove. It is the darkest shade in here. Just add a little more intensity, and I think this pencil is meant to set quickly, so I believe I waited a little too long in deciding what shade I wanted to use, but it's all good. I like that though. We'll keep it. Psychedelic, I believe, will be our main stage inner corner shade. This has pretty good stick on its own, and you can definitely detect some of the blue in here. It's multicolored, a little more than Glitz. Glitz is more so just has that champagne shift, where Psychedelic is the main stage chroma crystal shade in Retro. I'm actually pulling it further in under the lash line so it can meet up with Amara, and I'm actually going to pull in a little more of Amara here on the lower lash line and carving out Mod more on the lid here. So after I went in to blend out Amara a little more to add some shadow to the crease there, I'm just using Lotus Builder to carve out the lid, and also to kind of create like a distinction here on top of the wing. Taking a little more Andy on this side, bring a little farther out. All right, let's apply these lashes and I'll be right back. Lids are complete. I have the same chandelier style lashes on. We got a little bit of like, you know, mod eye going on. We got more of the smoky plum eye on this side. And here's the final round of looks. What can I say, fam? I love Retro. I knew I was going to love it. Even speaking about it without it being here. Looking at the photos, taking a look at the swatches when Natasha did them. Burgundies and mauves are my thing. And I love other color stories too. I obviously love bronze. Bronze was like in heavy contention with Lila, and Lila is my top favorite Natasha Denona palette. And if I were to put this up against Retro, I think Retro is still more monochromatic in nature. Lila, you just have a broader range of purple stories, right? You have more of the royal purple, the magenta, the fuchsia, the grape purple, plum burgundy. You only have the metallics in here mostly, and the creamy matte formula. One duochrome. I think Magnolia is considered to be chroma crystal as well. What is S? Satin? Juno? You're not going to have the more specialized shades in Lila, since this was one of Natasha's more earlier offerings. However, though, what makes Lila challenging is its size. It's more geared for pro use in that you just have more product. So if you're going through a lot of clients, or maybe you have a gig where everyone's wearing purple eyeshadow but different variations of it, then Lila is going to come in for you strong. But for someone that is just doing makeup on themselves, I do think the midi size a more appropriate choice for that lifestyle. And the other palettes in here that I covered briefly in the other video is the Star palette, which reminded me of Retro because of the inclusion of burgundies in there. Love is a totally different story. I think it's more robust. You have actual purples and silvers in here, so this is a lot more loud, and I think Retro is the more subdued version. Zendo is mostly all warm with the inclusion of the teal, greens, and the olives. And then we have bronze, which Natasha had mentioned in one of her live videos that bronze will be a blast to combine with retro. So you got the red terracotta shades from bronze, combining them with the burgundies from retro. Mashup coming at you soon. I'm going to be doing a lot of mashups. I want to mash up retro with Lila, retro with Star, and with bronze. And this might be the unpopular opinion. I'm not actually sure what the majority of the consensus is, if people rather have had the green taupes first versus the burgundy mauve taupes. I'm happy she went burgundy taupe for the monochromatic palette. I prefer those shades. I understand it might have been more comprehensive to include other shades besides the burgundy taupe mauves, but I actually like that she went all those shades in different variances, and which is why I enjoy Lila so much. There's so many possibilities in here. And yes, there are 3 repeats in retro. If you don't have Lila, fantastic. If you have Lila, then you have some Lila shades in a smaller palette. If you can't stand it, then swap those out with another, shade from, I don't know, you could go in with a shade from Glam, or you can go in with Deep Dive or Rhodium. That would be fun to have in the retro palette. Or grab a few shades from Love. You could do a lot. But all that to say, even though this is my second day using it, and my apologies for not stating my biases in the beginning. As you see, I don't know if you haven't noticed already, I'm a huge fan of Natasha Denona. I mostly have all her palettes besides Xenon. I might still pick that up eventually, but I just, again, and I have said this before, I really appreciate Natasha's creativity and genius when it comes to her color stories. I think they are unique. I think they are well thought out. People will disagree, and that's okay. I think what she achieves incredibly well is the ability to deliver high impact shades that maybe someone wouldn't use otherwise, but have their delivery and their experience be seamless and easy. That's what Natasha wants to accomplish with her eyeshadow palettes, that she wants this artistry, avant-garde moments to be accessible for the everyday makeup wearer. With the chroma crystal shades, if you want a little sparkle, you have it there. If you want something more subdued, you have the softer metallic finishes. If you want to use a shade like burgundy, but a burgundy powder matte will be intimidating, that she has it in there as a cream to powder formula for smoother blending. That's what I appreciate about Natasha Denona. And retro palette for me, I'm going to use this whole weekend. I'm going to dive back in, do different combinations from the ones I did for the video, and get back to you on it. Of course, this will probably be a favorite for September. I'm just going to tell you right now. I know I still have to do my August favorites. Anywho, let me know if you received retro. Some of you did in my last video. If you're still waiting for it, if you're still skipping on it, I'll see you down in the comments, fam. And until then, that is alright. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope this video helped. And if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and maybe consider subscribing to my channel. And until then, I will see you in here again with another review tutorial of Natasha Denona extravaganza. Monthly favorites should be coming soon, or vlog. Take care, and I'll see you again soon.